to optimize the advantages of this project and contribute to the overall objectives of promoting peace, stability, and prosperity in our respective regions of the North. Esteemed members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, while we recognize that this project is not a panacea to all our problems, it is crucial step towards creating a more peaceful and prosperous society. So on behalf of the people of the chiefs and people of the region, and on behalf of the regional coordinating councils present here, we commit to supporting this project and urge all agencies, NGOs, CSOs, traditional leaders and local communities to join hands in making this project a success. Once again, I welcome you all and let us move forward with determination and hope to make a lasting impact in the lives of our women and youth and turn around our beloved regions in the North into peaceful, development-oriented and prosperous ones. Once again, thank you very much. May God bless us all and bless our homeland Ghana and make us even stronger.
Shall we better applaud our regional minister for welcoming us to the region? Thank you, sir, and we feel very comfortable at home now. All right. So we quickly proceed on the agenda to take remark statements from the program implementers, the agencies leading on the implementation of the program. And I'd like to first welcome to the podium Dr. Angela Lusigi, who is the resident representative of UNDP, to tell us about the program they are implementing. Oh, please, you can welcome her better. Don't be jealous of the lady. Do it better, please.
The height is in between. Madam Chairperson, Honorable Minister of the Interior, Honorable Northern Regional Minister, the Chief Director of the National Security, the Resident Coordinator, my colleague, Country Representative of UNFPA, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to stand on the protocols already established. Good morning. Or should I say Dasuba? Aha. So, on behalf of the incredible team that has brought us together, I would like to thank you all for traveling from far and near to participate in this important project launch. Today, we're embarking on a journey to transform the vision that was put together by the development program, the Population Fund, and the National Peace Council with funding from the United Nations Peace Building Fund into reality. The project we're launching together is a strategic endeavor towards, as was mentioned, enhancing social cohesion and social contract through the empowerment of women and youth in 3 northern regions of Ghana. I would like us all to imagine a future where every woman and young person has the power to counteract violence with peace and extremism with unity. This project is a blueprint for that future. It addresses the root causes of localized and spillover conflicts and vulnerabilities to violent extremism in order to contribute to keeping Ghana's democracy and peace strong. We believe by empowering our women and youth, we're taking proactive steps towards a safer and more inclusive world. We know that Ghana remains one of West Africa's most resilient democracies. This is not a fact we should take for granted. Recent developments in the northern regions of Ghana, and indeed in various hotspots across the country, point to a rise in localized conflicts and insecurity. And this increases the vulnerability to radicalization and spillovers from neighboring countries. So while Ghana can be proud of its track record as a mainly peaceful and stable country, Ghana is not immune to the troubling developments around us. And as Ghana heads to the polls in December 2024, it is also an opportunity to empower women and youth from all walks of life to foster an environment where peace and understanding can thrive. We know that over half of Ghana's population are women and 55% of Ghana's population are youth. We would like to see an improvement in their representation from the current parliament, where only 14.55% of the members of parliament are women, and only 4.36% of the parliamentarians represent the youth. Over time, it is also important to address the low level of representation in local governance. Currently, as of the last local elections, only 4% of the elected district assembly members are female. In addition to the project launched today, UNDP is supporting several interventions to build trust in institutions, promote peace, and support social and political inclusion across society. So at a time when conflicts and exclusion are on the rise, it is imperative that we focus on preventing extremism by equipping our women and youth with the tools to foster peace. The fight against violent extremism requires unity, strength, and resolve. By empowering our women and youth in the northern regions of Ghana, we are uniting our communities against fear and division. So during this project, we will engage with local governance institutions, state and non-state actors, and with the women and youth in the target communities to achieve inclusive quality services, resilience to conflict triggers, and meaningful participation in peace building. We will work to promote participatory local governance and inclusive conflict resolution mechanisms with traditional and religious leaders. And we also want to facilitate dialogue between the youth, women's group, and political parties. And most importantly, we would like to raise awareness among the youth on hate speech, misinformation, and disinformation, while promoting partnerships between local government and the private sector so we can catalyze local jobs and economic development. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, at UNDP, we have placed youth and women at the center of all our work. We are committed to supporting the inclusion of youth and women in decision-making, peace building, and also working to address youth unemployment through green value chains. In line with the research that we have done on the drivers of extremism in Ghana and in Africa, we're working to foster a youth-inclusive and functional democracy at all levels in order to build a prosperous and peaceful society. In closing, let me reaffirm UNDP's strong commitment as part of the UN family in Ghana to investing and empowering young people and women to be the voice of hope in society across Ghana. I believe that in this room, we have the power to turn this innovative project into tangible results. Let us seize this opportunity and make a lasting impact. With the launch of this project, we're building a future together. A future where we can harness the full potential of our women and youth to build a Ghana that is free from the shadows of extremism. And at this midway point, as we continue our march towards the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, let us work together to champion peace and prosperity. I wish us all a successful launch and speed and scale in the implementation of this ambitious project. Thank you for your kind attention. Mpaia.
Thank you, ma'am. And then just right after her, we have Dr. Wilfred Ochan from UNFPA, who is also the implement partner of this program. The two agencies are leading the implementation. So, Dr. Wilfred Ochan.
Thank you, Ishmael. Chairperson, permit me to benefit from the warm welcome of the Honorable Minister and to stand on two things. To stand on the height already established here, so you're able to see me, and also to stand on the existing protocol. Chairperson and Honorable Minister, I bring you warm greetings from the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA Ghana. Indeed, I am happy to be part of this all-important event, the launch of the Ghana Peace Building Fund project. I thank you for coming to the event and in joining hands with UNDP and UNFPA to continue advancing peace in Ghana. Of recent, the UNFPA Executive Director, Dr. Natalia Kanem, gave remarks at the launch of the 2024 State of the World Population Report in Geneva, where she opened the meeting with the following statement, which I wish to quote because it is relevant to this gathering. She said, I quote, "I greet you in peace, the noble purpose of the United Nations, and the fervent wish of people everywhere, especially women and girls that UNFPA serves. They want peace in their homes, peace in their communities, and peace in the world." This quote could not have come at a better time than this as we launch the first ever UN-funded peacebuilding fund project in Ghana. To us at UNFPA, the peacebuilding fund project is significant as we continue to witness the disproportionate effects of emerging global trends such as polarization and conflicts, climate change and natural disasters, and their effects on vulnerability of women and youth. In the West and Central Africa region in particular, UNFPA has been observing and concerned with the indirect spillover effect of the Sahel crisis and the potentials for violent extremism. Our office here in Tamale has identified some maternal health, reproductive health, and gender-based violence issues in some of the communities and districts we work in that are partly resulted from the pressure created by some of the spillover effects. It is for these and other critical factors that the UNFPA's component of the Peacebuilding Fund project is focusing on transforming negative gender and sociocultural norms that disempower women and girls and make them more vulnerable to the effects of conflicts. In addition, a focus on inclusive planning processes for sustainable development outcomes underscores the interventions UNFPA will be implementing to build the capacity and agency of young people to contribute to the development agenda in their communities in Ghana. We all know that when one is excluded, when there is a deficit of trust in services and institutions that should serve him or her, and that when one is dissatisfied, the seeds of conflict are being sown. To this end, UNFPA's component of the project will focus on approaches and tools such as development of monitoring dashboards and scorecards to improve feedback on service provision between citizens and service providers, establishment of the District Development Actors Forum to facilitate inclusive development planning processes, interactive platforms including My District, Our Development, dialogue sessions to enhance the voice of community members in rights-based service provision, development of equal engaged guide for the training of development actors on human rights-based approaches to sustainable development and peace building. We will also actively engage with the traditional and religious leaders to facilitate the transformation of negative gender and social norms. These will include training to enhance their capability as facilitators and advocates of rights-based and inclusive processes. In addition, we will facilitate the mainstreaming of human rights perspectives as well as gender responsiveness into security and safeguarding procedures to ensure that citizens are aware and contribute to peace-building processes. It is worthy to note that our efforts at enhancing peace and social cohesion, especially for women and young people, through inclusive development and mitigation of negative gender and social norms, are not isolated. They are deeply intertwined with Ghana's broader development priorities, encapsulated within the Sustainable Development Goals and the UNFPA and aligned with UNFPA Global Strategic Plan and the country program. Distinguished guests, just this past Tuesday, the UNFPA in partnership with the government of Ghana supported and hosted the inauguration of a technical working group tasked to develop Ghana's National Action Plan on Youth, Peace and Security, an event officiated by the Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports with engagement of my friend from the National Peace Council, the Kofi Annan Institute, National Security, and a host of other relevant stakeholders. The UN Resident Coordinator made remarks and called for focus on peace for all. Important, and although separate, the youth, peace and security processes is embracing the spirit of inclusion, with key institutions and youth and women included in the membership of the working group. We embrace the spirit and call for inclusion in key policy processes and documents, especially those that focus on women and youth. While this is not a direct result of the PBF project, it certainly is an important factor in building and sustaining peace with and for young people. As we work towards the goal of achieving sustainable peace, we will count on your support and commitment in the execution of this project to ensure its success. In conclusion, I wish to express my profound optimism for the journey ahead and my unwavering confidence and commitment in our collective ability to make a lasting and positive impact on the lives of communities we serve, ensuring that no one is left behind. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Ochan. Shall we put our hands together for the two representatives? Thank you so much. Excellencies, observing all the protocols, I'd like to kindly request that we shift to the next level on the agenda. And now we would hear from our Government of Ghana partners, the owners of the land and nation, who are receiving this program and facilitating its implementation. And on the same protocols, I'd like to first invite to speak the Ambassador Senna Sian Boating, who is the Chief Director of the Ministry of Interior, to speak to us. Can we please welcome Ministry of National Security? My apologies. Ministry of National Security. Sorry.
You are standing on protocols to promote me further. So good morning. And our very tall host, the Northern Regional Minister, on whose protocols we will stand, Honorable Al-Hassan Shaibu, the Chairperson, Hajia Hafsa Sumani, Deputy Director, NORSAC, my dear sister Nana Ehia, Honorable. She is the Deputy Minister of the Interior. And then my brother Charles Abani, UN Resident Coordinator, Dr. Angela Lusigi, UNDP Resident Coordinator, Dr. Wilfred Ochan, the UNFPA Country Rep. I've recognized all of you. Now I'm going to stand on existing protocols, but I do not forget women, our dear women who are the reason why we are here. Our esteemed partners, our brothers and sisters from the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's very nice to be up here from down south. And with a heart full of gratitude and deep sense of duty, I stand before you today on behalf of the Minister for National Security, Honorable Kandapa, at the launch of this vital project. This initiative, aimed at enhancing social cohesion and social contract through the empowerment of women and youth in the three of our northern regions, comes at a crucial time in our nation's history, and reflects our collective commitment to fostering peace, stability, and inclusive development. Ghana, a beacon of democracy and stability in West Africa, is preparing for its 9th electoral cycle. 9th. And that is a good sign. A testament to our enduring democratic resilience. Despite our relative stability, we are aware of the localized conflicts that persist, especially in our northern regions. These conflicts, compounded by regional instabilities, porous borders, and socio-economic disparities, present significant challenges to our peace and security. West Africa has recently witnessed an alarming rise in terrorism and violent extremism. these extremist groups, driven by an insidious agenda, they seek not only to incite fear, but to expand their territories, preying on areas with limited state presence and deep-seated perceptions of marginalization. Our northern regions are particularly vulnerable given their proximity to the Sahel. That is why the emphasis of the project on the Upper East, Upper West, and Northeast regions resonates profoundly with us. At the National Security Ministry, we are particularly encouraged by the aim to address the root causes of the conflict and violent extremism by empowering local governance, enhancing the resilience and agency of women and youth, and fostering positive collaborations between state and non-state actors. Similarly, our ministry has been actively engaged in numerous strategic initiatives through its Human Security Department. In collaboration with the 48th Regiment of the Ghana Armed Forces, we have undertaken the construction of vital infrastructure such as roads, bridges, culverts, toilet facilities, and boreholes. And all these are aimed at reaching remote areas along our northern frontiers. These endeavors are integral to our overarching strategy of extending state presence and capacity, thereby ensuring that all citizens feel recognized, valued, and supported. There is no way we at the Ministry of National Security, together with our partners of course, will leave any region out of its developmental security architecture. And it is by this way that we will also not leave any region, any space, any area in this country ungovernable. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, in the past year, the Ministry of National Security has taken a significant step forward by expanding these soft options, the initiatives that I've just mentioned, to include the empowerment programs specifically tailored for young women, recognizing that idle minds are vulnerable to negative influences. We are dedicated to ensuring that the youth and women thrive in their careers rather than fall prey to adversity. This initiative involves equipping young women with employable skills and facilitating their job acquisition post-training through collaboration with Youth Employment Authority. We acknowledge that women and youth are disproportionately affected by conflicts, but they are also the key to a brighter future. Like me standing here, Angela is here, Honorable Deputy Minister is here, MC is here. These are all great women. And we stand together with you because we are the future. So, it is this participation in peace building and local governance and economic development which is not just beneficial but essential, and it's imperative. What we are doing today is imperative. The National Security Strategy, which was outdoored in the year 2020, also emphasizes building social cohesion. It proposes a whole of government and whole of society approach to security, acknowledging that establishing trust between the government and the citizenry is fundamental to our stability. This project, which we are about to launch, represents a significant stride towards realizing that vision, as it aligns with our broader objectives of promoting inclusive governance and fostering economic development. So to this end, and to conclude, I must say that this project stands as a powerful symbol of our collective commitment to building a more peaceful and prosperous Ghana, and the Ministry of National Security reaffirms its steadfast dedication to supporting it. I urge all stakeholders, from government officials to civil society organizations, the women's groups, the youth organizations, to actively participate in this endeavor. Through unwavering collaboration, a unified vision, this initiative has the potential to be a transformative force in the northern regions. Let us seize this opportunity to empower women and youth, foster social cohesion, and ultimately write a new chapter of peace and stability for our nation. So, I'd like to thank you again, our dear partners. It is imperative. Let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you very much for those very inspiring words and showing us that this program is really received by government. Before I move to the Deputy Minister for Interior, I'd like to kindly stand on the protocols to acknowledge some partners and key persons in the room. First, I'd like to acknowledge our Chief Francis Ayanaba from Kugri. Chief, please. Thank you very much for coming. I also like to acknowledge Queen Mother of Bongofio, Pognaba Felicia Agamboka. Welcome, Ma'am. I also like to acknowledge representatives from the regional coordinating councils that are here. I know some chief directors and also representatives of regional ministers are here. Kindly, if you could just please rise and wave to the... Thank you so much. We also have some DCEs, MCEs from the districts that are hosting the program. If you could kindly just wave. Thank you very much for coming. We have from the police commands from some of the regions who are in here also. Kindly, if you could kindly welcome. Thank you. And then we have representatives of CSO partners that are part of the program implementation in the communities and districts here also. Kindly, if you could wave. Thank you so much, and everyone is welcome. I'll come back to acknowledge others in due course. Now, it's my pleasure to invite the Honorable Deputy Minister for Interior, Honorable Nana Eya, to present her statement.
Madam Chairperson, I stand on the Minister's protocol to welcome everybody here. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am honored to stand before you today on behalf of the Minister for Interior to participate in the launch of the Peace Building Fund project in the northern Ghana. Madam Chairperson, as you can all attest, Ghana is considered to be a peaceful country in a region hit by instability and conflict. It is therefore not out of place that Ghana has long been upheld as a model of peace, peaceful coexistence, and democratic governance. The peace we enjoy today is a testament to the collective effort of our people. It is a testament to the resilience and dedication of civil society organizations, traditional leaders, and security agencies who work around the clock to uphold the peace that defines us as a nation. We, however, cannot ignore the pockets of localism, conflict, and challenges that threatens to undermine our hard-won peace, from chieftaincy disputes and farmer-headed conflict to environmental degradation and youth employment. These demand our urgent attention action. The closeness of our northern regions to hotspots of violence further calls for a comprehensive approach to conflict prevention and peace building. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as the Ministry of Interior, with the mandate to ensure internal security and stability, we have spearheaded numerous initiatives and policies aimed at advancing our national security objectives. From the implementation of the national security strategy to support for conflict prevention and border control, our commitment to peace and security cannot be overlooked. However, we recognize that our efforts alone are not enough in the face of emerging threats and complex challenges. The Peace Building Fund project will therefore support the needed change and transformation in our beneficial districts and communities. Madam Chairperson, I wish to express our heartfelt appreciation to the Peace Building Fund, the United Nations, and our implementing partners for their commitment to peace and development in Ghana. I am of the strong conviction that together we can build a peaceful and prosperous future. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we look ahead to the upcoming elections, I join my colleagues in calling for a peaceful, transparent, and democratic process that reflects the values and aspirations of our nation. Let us all uphold the integrity of our democracy, safeguard the peace that defines us as a people. In closing, I urge all beneficiaries and stakeholders to seize this opportunity to enable the Peace Building Fund project for sustainability development and lasting peace. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Minister. Very much appreciated. And on the note of acknowledging the beneficiaries, I'd like to indicate that we have some of them in the room from the women and youth networks that are part of the program, but also to ensure that we are able to reach as wide coverage of people as possible. The program is being streamed live on the UNFPA Orange Radio, which is online, and we have shared the link all over the place, and people are able to tune in to follow the conversation. So every word that is being spoken here is out there all over the country, all over the world, and the message is gone far and wide. So thank you so much for acknowledging our beneficiaries. Next, we have a poetry recital from one young person who is from here, a student at the University of Development Studies here in Tamale, who is going to share a few words in the wisdom of a poet. Please let's welcome our friend and colleague Shakira to share her poem. And the poem is entitled, I Am Just a Girl. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chairperson, Honorable Minister, and protocols duly observed. My name is Shakira Nuhu, and I am here to recite a poem. I am just a girl. Maybe if the world could see the pain in Mama's eyes, maybe if the world could feel the pain in my little heart, maybe if the world could see that beautiful world I imagined without violence, perhaps they would have found it worthy enough to make peace reign and rescue my little heart from this pain. I am just a girl who is in the midst of chaos. I do not understand. I can only imagine how happy and free my soul would feel if it only knew a world without violence, which unfortunately offers nothing but cry and pain. If mama could, she would rescue my heart from this pain, but how could she, when all I see is the same pain when I look into her eyes? The cry of hungry women and children, the tears of women who lost their husbands and protectors, the agony of girls who are victims of GBV perpetrators. The painful death of pregnant women and their babies, the fear in girls who dare to dream about their future selves. That could go on. I would say that women could break the shackle and become their own protectors. Women could empower their girls. Women could evolve into something far from fragile and timid if given the chance to voice out their contributions and concerns towards solving the problem rather than war. Maybe if the world could see the pain in mama's eyes, maybe if the world could see the pain in my little heart, maybe if the world could see that beautiful world I imagined without violence, perhaps they would have found it worthy to make peace reign and rescue my little heart from this pain. I am just a girl. Thank you for having me.
Wow, I think we can do it better and louder for Shakira. I am just a girl. Very powerful message. Thank you, Shakira, for that exciting and inspiring and informative poem. So, Excellencies, I'd like to now crave your indulgence that we would take a short presentation from the program implementing teams from the two agencies that are leading. And on that note, I'd like to acknowledge also the Executive Secretary of the Peace Council, who is here with us. Sir, please, if you could just wave. And then we need to please, sincere apologies, if you could just move to the next seat. Yes. Yeah. Sorry. It's just on the next row. Yes, sir. Please, sir. Just sit. This by this wall. Yes, please. Kindly, please come. So the program team will share briefly about the PBF program so that those of us who are pretty new to it, we can be informed and see exactly what the program is about. Thank you.
He sat up on the bed and he watched me packing. He already knew I was leaving. I took what I needed, but I sure left a lot still hanging. But I figured I'd get it come the weekend. And he said, Daddy, when you get there, are you gonna have a refrigerator? I kinda laughed and said, I guess I will. Then he handed me a tracing of his hand on the back of a piece of paper and a magnet. And my heart stood still when he said, Put your hand in mine, and I'll be there anytime. When it feels like you could use a friend, I'll be there to lift you up again. You can reach out to me anytime and put your hand in mine. I drove past the Hardin Baptist Church.
Sorry, so
no, it wasn't
I
real.
introduced the ladies presenting the project. Melody and Selena. Melody works with UNDP and leads the program implementation, and Selena works with UNFPA and also leads the implementation from the UNFPA side. Over to you, please.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Okay, so I would like to stand on the existing protocols established, and at least I'm tall enough so I'm able to use the. Thank you very much. Okay, so just not to waste much time and to enable us finish, because we know some people have flights to catch, I will just start the presentation whilst we wait for the projector to set. It's okay. Okay, but let me go on. So we are here to launch the project titled Enhancing Social Cohesion and Social Contract through Empowerment of Women and Youth in 3 northern regions of Ghana. And the project is funded by the United Nations Peace Building Fund. This is a 2-year project. So basically, just to give you a background as to how the project came into being and the focus of the project. As already mentioned in the speeches that have already been delivered, the focus is to address in particular the limited participation of women and youth in terms of decision making and peace building, and also the gaps around their social and economic participation in the northern parts of Ghana. We're also looking at how the local government authorities, especially our district assemblies, can also be able to provide the social contracts that citizens have with government. So these are some of the baseline information that the project is looking to address. The specific regions that the project is focused on are the Upper East region, and under the Upper East region we have 3 selected districts. We have the Bongo district, we have the Boku West district, we have the Garo district. In the Upper West region we have the Wa West, we have also the Sisala West district. And then in the Northeast region we have the Yunyo Naswan district, we have the Chirpone district, and we have the Bunkrugu Nankwanduri district. The reason for the selection was to make sure that with the limited resources that the fund has provided, we don't just cover all the 5 northern regions or all the regions in the country, but we have to be more focused with the limited resources so we can be able to make better impact. And even under this specific district as well, we have selected communities that the project is focusing on. And under each district we have 3 communities. Three communities that were selected based on consultations with the National Peace Council, the regional coordinating councils, and the district assemblies, because they know better what goes on in some of these communities and could better guide the development of this proposal. Okay, so just a map that shows the locations of the project sites. This other slide just indicates the specific communities. Are we able to enlarge it? So it indicates the communities that the project would be located in. I think if you look in the folders that you have, we have a brief of the project that lists all this information already, but just to give us a brief of what we are looking at doing. So just straight to the project objectives. One of the first objectives of the project is to prevent and address the root causes of localized and spillover conflicts and vulnerabilities to violent extremism in northern Ghana. One of the findings from the Global Terrorism Report indicated that one of the key vulnerabilities when it comes to violent extremism is existing conflicts. And so addressing existing conflicts definitely reduces the vulnerabilities to violent extremism and terrorism. The other objective of the project is looking at strengthening local governance institutions, actors, and customary governance structures to ensure more inclusive, responsive, and accountable governance, economic development, and quality service delivery. It's a mouthful, but just to tell us, how do our local government structures really provide the needed development that communities expect from them? Because we know that the local government or the district assemblies are the nearest development structures that Ghana has. And so how do we ensure that these institutions are still able to provide the development that is required based on the social contracts that communities and governments have? The third one is to empower women and youth to be resilient and actively engaged in peace building and conflict prevention from spillover of violent extremism and promote social cohesion in northern Ghana. Like earlier indicated already, the participation of women and youth in decision making and in peace building is very limited. I mean, when you look at even a number of the peace building processes, you might maybe out of 10 just find one woman or two. But these are the women who are most affected. Like our poet said, these are the women, these are the girls who suffer most when there's conflict. But why are they not part of these processes? How do we ensure that women and young people are part of the peace building and decision making processes? Even if you look at the number of women that are elected, whether at the local level or at the national level, it's very few. But when you look at our population as a country, we have more women. So how are we making a difference? How do we want to change that narrative going forward? So we want to take one step at a time with these communities and with these districts that we have selected. The fourth one is looking at fostering collaboration between local governments and traditional authorities to improve the economic resilience and productive capacities of women. That also includes the youth as well. I think part of it is missing. How do we ensure, because when we look at the issues of unemployment, who are those that are most affected? It is women, it is the young people. And that is a major vulnerability. When you look at the country's national security strategy, one of the key issues that was identified as a risk is the bulging youth unemployment. And so this project is also trying to contribute to this effort to ensure that we are reducing these vulnerabilities and ensuring that young people have something to do for themselves and to also contribute to the development of their community, so we can together achieve the Agenda 2030. So these are just some of the activities that the project will be looking at. There are a number of them, but I'll just run through them quickly so we don't take too much time. We have trainings for different stakeholders. Our traditional leaders, we believe they are a key part in terms of preventing conflict and building peace in our communities. How do we ensure that some of the capacity gaps, and in terms of understanding some of the issues within their communities also are strengthened. And in terms of the use of dialogue and mediation efforts, and the inclusion of women and youth in these peace building processes are well structured. We also have activities that will be looking at strengthening local government authorities' capacities as well. We'll also be looking at engagement programs with different stakeholders. We're talking about youth and women. In fact, that's the focus of our project. How are they part of these different interventions that we would be implementing, and particularly leading these interventions, because it's not just about UNDP, UNFPA, and partners implementing, but ensuring that these key beneficiaries are leading the implementation, are part of the development of the sub-activities in their communities. We are also looking at how do we strengthen the accountability mechanisms. I already spoke about the local government structure. How do we improve that? How do our community members feel comfortable to go to the assembly to understand what is going on? What are the provisions that have been made for them? How can they also contribute, not just being followed up to pay the market tools and others, but also being part of the development agenda, the planning that is made for them in their communities. So this particular one is focused more on women and youth. How are we strengthening their capacities to lead in terms of peace building and decision making processes as well, and also the components on livelihood, the need for employable skills, and also maybe some equipments depending on the needs of the young people. Things that are more sustainable, not just coming up with things that we think would create jobs for the young people, but sustainable jobs. Sustainable jobs is what the project intends to focus on. And the last component is also looking at relationships with security and other state actors. How do communities and the security agencies interact? We know we've had a number of some of those cases, and also the fact that with the threats of violent extremism and the need to protect our borders, how are the security agencies around these areas also involving and interacting with communities in a harmonious way, so they don't feel threatened by the presence of security, but that they are working together, collaborating, and providing the needed early warning signals from community members and the early response from our security agencies as well. So there will be activities that will be looking more of creating an opportunity for the interaction between these groups to ensure that we are strengthening this relationship between security agencies and the civilians in terms of ensuring peace and security. I mean, we know we would not be able to have police cover every community and every location, but community members are everywhere. How do you establish that good relationship between community members and the security so they can work together for the betterment of Ghana? Thank you very much. If there are any questions.
Thank you very much. So in short, that's the summary of the project, the project objectives. We know we did a lot of consultations before we put it together, but for now, we just want to open the floor for about 5 minutes. If there are any highlights that anybody wants to contribute. Sorry. Please, can you hear me now? Yeah. So I was saying that this is the summary of the objectives of the project, and also the brief in your folders. But for about 5 minutes, if there are any highlights that any of the members here gathered want to contribute to, anything, a burning thing that you want to raise, you are just opening the floor for about 5 minutes. Thank you. So you raise your hand and I come to you with the mic. Well, I think we are it's self-explanatory. We all Yes. Yes, please. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much and for the presentation. I need some few clarifications, instructions. If we are able to strengthen the capacities of the staff structure, what we call zonal and area councils, who are directly working with the people on the ground, I think it will facilitate transparency and accountability. Also, assure you that we will continue to have our town hall meetings where we will invite all the key stakeholders to come and we'll make presentations to let them know exactly what is happening within the areas. But in terms of the security, most of the areas, they don't have police present because they don't have police posts. The communities actually want to have police posts. They are struggling to mobilize the necessary resources to be able to construct police posts. Under this project, will you be able to support communities to put up some police posts within their areas? Thank you. For now, this is what I have, but there are many.
Thank you very much. So I will give you to my colleague, but just to say that we also wanted to indicate the fact that this is a complementary project to the SOCO. We are aware that the SOCO is taking place in the districts and in the regions that we are also implementing in. So that complementarity is very important for us because we know that they are focusing on some of these infrastructures that RCD is talking about. We want to come in with enhancing the capacity of the people to engage in the processes. So as they look at the infrastructure, we look at the human resource or the human capacity to be able to bring it all together. But I will let Melody also.
Thank you very much, sir. So in terms of supporting the infrastructure, unfortunately the project doesn't have that components to provide those kind of infrastructure. Like my colleague already said, the proposal was also developed looking at existing and ongoing projects. And SOCO is one. We know USAID also have ongoing projects as well. But we have also been mindful not to duplicate, being selective of the different communities. But in terms of infrastructure, the project doesn't cover that base. And I think that for us, these are also the learnings from the implementation process. Once some of these issues are also discovered, and we realize maybe other projects like the SOCO are not covering that maybe in your district, it gives us the opportunity to build on in terms of development of new proposals for consideration by other development partners as well. So I think in the implementation, we also take note of ongoing challenges and lessons as well that inform other concepts and proposals. Thank you. Yes, it does. So like I indicated, in the beginning, in developing this particular project, we had various consultations with the SOCO team, both from the World Bank side and from the Ministry of Local Government. And in fact, they were supposed to be here, but unfortunately, there was issues with getting flights at the last minute for the representative from the Ministry of Local Government. But they were parts of the discussions in terms of the development. So one of the reasons in terms of giving approval was to ensure that we are aligning to existing programs or projects that are being implemented in these areas. So we just wanted to make sure that this is covered. I think maybe if there are other questions, we can address them later just to make sure that people are able to catch their flights after this. So we are at the back. If there are any questions, please, we would address them. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation, Melody and Selena. Appreciate it. Whilst my colleagues help to set up the high table again for our excellencies and honorables to take their seat, I'd like to invite one more young person to share a quick poem. Now that we have done all of these, how does our society and community look like? So I invite Habiba to share her poem, which is titled Showers of Society. Shall we welcome Habiba, please? Habib, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The high table, the chairperson, all protocols duly observed. My name is Hibatullah Sule, and I'm here to recite a poem entitled Flowers of Society. From the dawn of time, and as ages pass us by, a harmonious tune tries to fill history's pages. A peaceful coexistence, a beauty to behold. For a society, one that is bold. Flowers of our homes, young people, women and girls. For conditions for them to thrive and rise, to uplift, to build and rearrange. To see a change, the change we wish to see. In our neighbors' corners, unrest is not denied. A developmental stampede cannot be denied. Yet, here, the flowers bloom and blossom. Dispelling all gloom, we are the flowers of society. Empowered by peace, society grows. Dispelling all odds, a community strives. Passion burning in our hearts for change. We are the flowers of society. Thank you.
Indeed, you are the flowers of society, and through this program, you would even be more empowered to blossom much brighter and stronger and stay blossom for a longer time. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I'd like to bring to the podium His Excellency Charles Abani, who is the resident coordinator of the United Nations in Ghana. As you would have known, this program is being funded by the UN Secretary General's Peace Building Fund, and it is just great that we have the gentleman representing the Secretary General in Ghana to do the keynote address. So, sir, over to you.
Thank you very much. And it's still morning. Thank you for your patience, Madam Chairperson, the Honorable Minister and our host, the Honorable Minister of the Northern Region. I know that he had other pressing demands on his time, so he was unable to stay. Representatives from the two other regions that are beneficiaries of this project, Upper East and Upper West. The Honorable Deputy Minister of the Interior. I think this is the interior that we are in. So we are actually in your space. And permit me, because I haven't personally congratulated you, to congratulate you on your role in the ministry now and the role you're playing. The Chief Director of the Ministry of National Security, a good friend of mine and an important actor in this process. Let me also acknowledge flights being affected, the Ministry of Local Governments, who are a key partner. Honorable Municipal District Chief Executives, representatives of RCCs, the Executive Secretary of the National Peace Council, who are an important ally and contributor to this particular process, and indeed a strong part of the backbone of what this program is trying to achieve. And let me also pause to congratulate Ghana. The idea of a National Peace Council, done with some of the work from UNDP in the early days, is actually an example that has been exported to many other countries. So congratulations to Ghana and to all of you. To service chiefs present, heads of agencies and departments, civil society actors present, traditional rulers, women leaders, youth leaders, members of the media, and of course my colleagues within the UN system, particularly UNDP and UNFPA, who are leading this program, but also to the other agencies who, when Melody was speaking about the collaboration and integration of this work, there are so many other things that are going on that all feed into this process. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and particularly thank you to the two young poets. You are an embodiment of, I guess, the confidence that is the outcome that we're looking for. That is impact. When two young people are able to stand confidently and talk about issues, in one case being a young woman and striving for a better society, and in the other an important story about let 1,000 flowers bloom. It is not about one idea, it's about many ideas, and part of peace is also the tolerance to accommodate multiple ideas. Thank you for your recitals. Please give them a round of applause again. I'm honored to be here, and it's always a privileged position for me to be here. The real work gets done by a number of the agencies on the ground. I get the privilege to come and say a few words at the beginning. But this Peace Building Fund launch is particularly significant because Ghana has never benefited from the Peace Building Fund before. And part of the argument about this was linked to the fact that Ghana is peaceful. So you see, sometimes the thing that you have can be your worst enemy. And we have argued, not just in this case, but with other funds, that actually the existence of peace does not arrive by itself. It happens because people really work hard at making it happen. And so penalizing them for their hard work isn't the right way to go, first of all. And two, it doesn't recognize the changing landscape we live in the Sahel, the changing issues that are affecting communities, and the vulnerability. I never say that Ghana is fragile, and I want national security to hear me very well. Ghana is vulnerable but not fragile. There are strong institutions in Ghana, and this is the core message that comes certainly from my office. And our role is to support Ghana to remain peaceful, to protect that crown jewel of peace and security and democracy and openness, and shine it as a light out to the rest of the sub-region and the continent. And so in that context, the Peace Building Fund, this is a welcome development for Ghana and for a new way of thinking, particularly in the context of the Secretary General's focus now on prevention. There's an old adage that says a stitch in time. Thank you very much, because effectively if we prevent conflict from coming to Ghana and build outwards and actually shine this peace outwards, then we won't need the other 8 stitches. And so investing in prevention, which is at the core of the Secretary General's new agenda for peace, is critical, particularly at the time when globally we see so many conflicts that have engulfed the world, expending resources that should otherwise be spent enhancing the quality of humanity, being expended instead in the opposite direction in terms of destroying humanity. This is not the way to go. So we are really profoundly grateful to the Peace Building Fund, but I think more importantly to the communities and the 3 regions where we're going to work. But none of this is possible without coordination from the national level as well. And so having the national actors here present, having civil society present, having the regional ministers all represented, gives us the assurance that there is ownership around this program. And I want to congratulate those of you who spent a long time putting together this program. I keep deviating from the words they wrote for me. Sorry, Matthias, but this is the way I speak. Despite its relative stability, Ghana faces considerable development challenges and hurdles. And these include localized conflict, primarily in some parts of the northern region, but not only in the northern region, contributing to strains in national peace and security. Uneven development and investment has perpetuated some kind of north-south divide, and I know there's a lot of effort towards bridging that gap, but nonetheless it exists. And there is limited resources. Ghana faces a number of challenges, which means when you have all these problems, you have to select some. So it is important that we are ensuring that we are supporting Ghana on its journey towards self-reliance, peace, security, a deepened democracy, and ultimately a Ghana that is beyond the need for aid and assistance. But of course, there are other bigger issues. Climate change continues to create and wreak its own havoc and create problems that are outside even the control of the government of Ghana, and therefore they must act on. There are activities taking place, particularly on the northern border in Burkina, in Niger, in Mali, which have a direct impact on issues here in the country and which impact people. There is the scourge of galamsey and illegal mining, not just in Ghana but across the sub-region, which is also a driver of insecurity and perpetuates some of the violence that we see on the ground. And so these are many, many issues that are affecting us. In addition, because of what's going on in the Sahel, Ghana is seen as a safe haven for some of those who are engaged both in banditry and violent extremism to come and rest here in your northern regions where they get a bit of respite. As a result, there are a lot of small arms that are proliferated across the community, and indeed we are seeing an emerging industry of producing arms locally to feed this thirst for conflict. So in alignment, we are really taking a proactive stance, working with the National Peace Council, the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, a raft of civil society partners, in collaboration with the ministries, particularly of Interior and National Security, and of course the security forces, to really strengthen this agenda for peace, focusing on prevention. If we take forward this agenda, then we don't need to keep going around fixing things. And instead, we build a place where there's trust instead of mistrust, inclusion instead of exclusion, wealth instead of marginalization, and the absence of violent extremism. It underscores this shift that we've been talking about towards an investment in prevention. A couple of points I would like to make, though. We must move away from silos, and it was interesting the questions that were raised earlier on about the interconnectedness of everything. If people have sustainable livelihoods, then they are too busy to even go into conflict. So sustainable livelihoods is a core part of building peace. If people have access to education, to water, to sanitation, to social protection, then they have the knowledge and skills and capabilities to live productive lives, and they don't have time for conflict. And therefore, in a sense, everything is interconnected. And we live in a world now where every facet of our lives is affected by the digital agenda. Every facet of our lives is affected by the need to grow and produce more and trade more effectively and fairly, and make sure that we have inclusive programs that involve women. Our cooperation framework really emphasizes this with the 3 areas, but also talks about looking at these integrated issues and making sure that we are connecting everything together, not working in boxes separately to achieve results. So it is within this context that this program of enhancing social cohesion and the social contract, which is the account or an agreement between people of Ghana about how they want to live together, that this is enhanced in a way that enables everybody to go, just like the poet said, and bloom like a flower. The program, you've already heard the objectives of the program: preventing and addressing root causes, and you know the root causes better than even the UN does. So really working closely to identify those root causes and address them is going to be key. Strengthening local institutions to be able to deliver the kinds of mechanisms that ensure inclusive, responsive, and accountable governance, economic development, and quality service delivery. Empowering women and youth to be resilient and to be able to play a role in this. And let me congratulate UNFPA. It's this week. It wasn't last week. It is this week that a very comprehensive committee was launched to look at the role of youth in peace building. And this is a really powerful and important way to ensure that the voices of young people gain traction in the way that things move forward. And really ensuring that we also connect. I know there are traditional rulers here, that we connect with our traditional institutions and that we connect the values that bring us together, both through the traditional rulers and also the queen mothers and queens who play an important role in creating the social cohesion that we want. Let me also, although I have mentioned it, single out the Peace Council and the importance of the local structures of the Peace Council, which are meant to be inclusive, and I know that there's a lot of work going on to ensure that these include absolutely every segment of society. These are the early warning mechanisms that help us to understand when things are going wrong and build the basis upon which to build peace. And for this reason, this is your project. We're privileged in the UN system, and I think UNDP and UNFPA are here really to enable and facilitate. And if we're doing this right over the next 2 years, we should be almost in the shadows, and all of you should be in the forefront. And we should be taking that guidance and leadership from you, and you should be building the ownership in a way that means that, yes, there will be other projects, but almost without other projects, you are also succeeding. And the litmus test is that you don't need a PBF 2.0 to come on top of this, except where, to quote Melody, we are learning lessons and then trying to fix some of the gaps. The project itself is intricately linked to other UN initiatives, and thank you for making that point earlier. Projects such as the Salient Fund, which will be implemented by UNDP and UNODC, which is really looking at small arms and making sure that small arms are not proliferated. This is a key part of peace. The Atlantic Corridor Program, implemented by UNDP, and the upcoming program to be implemented by UNICEF and UNDP on localization, which is really saying, how do you localize and bring the sustainable development goals to the ground together? These projects collectively aim to combat the proliferation of small arms, enhance social cohesion, empower women and youth, and prevent violent extremism. Additionally, there are projects that support the government of Ghana's efforts to address localized conflict and violent extremism. And some of those come from the government themselves. The See Something, Say Something program that is a part of the national strategy on security. The World Bank funded SOCO project, which my colleagues have already mentioned, that is implemented by the Ministry of Local Government and needs to connect with this. There are other programs. The Gulf of Guinea program, which involves UNICEF, the World Food Program, WFP, IOM, and UNHCR, the Refugee Agency, as well as IOM's existing border security program. It is the collectiveness of all of these programs that will actually lead us to peace and success. And so I implore upon you again to see the interconnectedness. And for you, those working on the ground, and those of you who are really in the thick of this, to demand that accountability from us, that we are working together, that we don't have siloed programs that don't connect with each other, and therefore the benefits don't come collectively together. That's how you'll not only have a police post, sir, but also a community able to maximize the use of that police post. And a police force that feels empowered, a part of the community able to guarantee peace and security. Let me express again my sincere gratitude to the Peace Building Fund and to all of those who are on the high table. We thank the government of Ghana, all the different actors, the ministries, the Peace Council, those of you at the regional level, district assemblies, CSOs, youth groups, traditional leaders, for your acceptance and cooperation in hosting these projects within your communities. They belong to you. A final word on the upcoming 2024 elections. There are heightened tensions, but Ghana comes from a very good place. You have, if not the best, the second best democracy on this continent. So you should be very proud of it, and you should protect it in this upcoming election. And yes, there must be disagreement. Otherwise, why are there two political parties? There must be disagreement. But at the end of the day, that must be conducted within the confines of certain principles and rules of the game that mean that at the end of the day, we are all striving for one. The UN has something called the I Pledge for Peace campaign. We run it in collaboration with the National Peace Council, and I urge all of you to participate fully in this campaign, that whatever the differences you have, they are not so insurmountable that they cannot be resolved through dialogue and discussion, and they do not require violence to address. We approach December the 7th full of confidence, full of hope. Earlier this week too, I also met with the Electoral Commissioner and gave her the assurances that we are here to support. And I think we should all be confident, and confidence is an attitude that when it's projected creates positivity. So across the country, we wish you the best in this upcoming election. We want to continue to see Ghana as one of the bastions of democracy and something that makes us all proud on this continent of what we achieve. So please, Godspeed, no violence, pledge for peace in the upcoming election. On the basis of this, and having heard all the different stories that we've already heard about this program, I want us to move now to the formal launch of this program. I know, and let me congratulate the program team, that you've already been working hard at this, and all the partners and actors in the program. So this is a symbolic launch to give you the sense of gusto to move forward with the project. MC, you guide us as to what we need to do. Yeah. So let me invite all the partners on the high table to please step forward. And let me also invite my good friend George from the National Peace Council. George, the Executive Secretary of the Peace Council, National Peace Council, to join us on the stage. Please. And our two young poets, please. Because this is about youth and women, and you embody both. You are both young people, and you are also women, to join us here. Okay, so I need to stand here. Please, let's not have only women on one side, or let's balance them. So, please, Queen Mother and traditional ruler, let's have all the partners here, please. Are we missing anybody? Can we have a uniformed man also up here? This is also about the security agencies. We have representatives of the cameramen. Are you okay still? Can I invite more people? On this happy note, and very optimistic note, we hereby declare this project, this peace building project, formally launched. And on that note, and taking account of, I think the UNDP reps, Angela said we should execute this program in a timely fashion and achieve scale and impact. Thank you all very much, and we wish this project the very best. I won't end without saying a good thank you to our MC. He has been please give him a round of applause as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, shall we please take our seats, and then I hand over now. My job is done. I hand over to our chairperson to Andy. So I invite our chairperson to do the closing remarks, but I also would like to acknowledge USAID representatives who are here. Thank you so much for coming.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's clap for ourselves. Okay. So I appreciate everyone here. In fact, you have helped a lot. We have also done well within the time. And I like to appreciate the team for especially Ishmael, for moderating within the time frame. For me, sitting here in this room, it was very heavy. I see that we are a bit relaxed now with a lot of the good or the positive words as Ghanaians, given to us as Ghanaians. You know, sometimes when you are inside, you don't feel it. But when the outside people are now talking, you say, oh, is that how they are looking at us? So for me, sitting here, listening to all these remarks and the positive notes for Ghana, I think we all are proud of ourselves as Ghanaians. Let's clap for ourselves. I observed that the program team were very conscious, and I think that is what we all have to do. Very conscious about representation. And when I looked at the high table, I was like, were they really looking at the institution or who can really represent? So for me, that goes to all of us. Those of us who implement, those of us who write proposals. How do we consciously engage and really make everyone represented? And that is the only thing we can do to close the gaps. As we talk about women representation, women participation, we have to create the space for it. And for me, this is an example. Creating the space, making sure that the women are also there, the youth are there, and that is how we can all work together to ensure that we close those gaps. So let's see how we make this project, especially as we are going down there to implement, make sure that we really get the representation right. We are conscious around that. The RCCs have committed, and I'm sure that if the ministries did not commit, they wouldn't have been committing themselves now. Once they commit, the MMDAs are also in it. And so during implementation, for me, I feel that we shouldn't leave anyone behind during this implementation. And a word has already been mentioned, accountability. We only can account to each other when we all work together. And we all know that the holes are here and we are going to close the holes. That is where we can actually account to each other. And I encourage that the implementing partners do same on the ground. We don't leave the MMDAs out. We don't leave the RCCs out when we are doing our implementation. I also borrowed this word from the regional minister. He said we should all take responsibility and growth of ourselves and the communities. And for me, we can only do this when we are all committed in this process. Coordination was mentioned as in one of the discussions, and I think that if we don't talk to each other as agencies, we will always be looking at the gaps. So the security agencies, I'm sure they are ready for all of us, because this year we all have to hold every button and we all have to press every button. We all have to be vigilant. Nobody should expect and sit down when something is going wrong. We all have to up our game. And I think that will make the peace councils work less. So for me, I sit here and I'm very happy that you have all helped to chair this program. I encourage all of us to go back, reflect, and support this program. And I'm very much confident that we are coming out by 7th December. After 7th December, clapping our hands that we all did it. And with this program, it's not ending soon. 2 years, it means that we have post-election activities to do. And so we all have to contribute to that, to be alive and to be safe, to do the post activities. Thank you very much for helping me.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you so much for doing the honorable job of steering this program, and sincere gratitude and appreciations to all our dignitaries that have been here to speak to us and then open this program. In no mean or less position, I want us all to put our hands together for our honorables, excellencies, and everyone that have been here. Thank you sincerely. I'd just like to also quickly acknowledge that last but not the least, this is the team that has been working behind the scenes to execute the program, led by Dr. Edward Amprechum. Please, if you could all just come, the program team, Selena, Melody, Hamza, Dr. Edward Amprechum, if you could just come so everybody knows you. These are the gentlemen and the ladies with the blessing of the RC and then our country representatives giving us all the guidance to implement this program. So Dr. Edward Amprechum is the head, the lead of the program working with UNDP. And then Madam Selena is leading on the UNFPA side. Our colleague Melody, yes, I support Selena. Then our colleague Melody from UNDP side. And then from the RCO, who are giving us all the overhead covering, ensuring that Charlie, they are taking the right steps, everything. Matthias and his colleague, Angeline, who is not here with us, they are really providing all the technical support, of course, with the overhead support from our RC. So these are the people working. You would see them in your regions, in your districts, in the communities. When you see them, these are peace ambassadors. You welcome them in peace. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. On that note, we'd like to say a big thanks to all of us. We have come to the end of this program. Honorable Minister, thank you so much for welcoming us to the region, and we are glad that we enjoyed our stay. We will take a group photograph right on the outside. So I'd like to request that we all stay seated when Honorable Minister and his team come out. Then we follow. They would arrange us beautifully out there. We take a group photograph. We have memory of this. After 7th December, when we meet to celebrate the peace, we will look at the picture and say, I was part of this initiative. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. And God bless us all. Thank you. Oh, and our colleagues who were in Accra hosting the program on radio, thank you so much for broadcasting this on Orange Radio at the UNFPA Yule Fellowship. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Light of the world, you step down into darkness. Open my eyes, let me see beauty that made this heart adore you. Hope of a life spent with you.
his guitar on the harder side of town, where it's hard